Now, before BlizzCon, there was a bunch of, teasers. Well, there were a lot of false leads. There were a lot of, hoaxes, and, well, there weren't too many. I remember way back at the long ago time of, like, a month ago, there was the Dark Below. People were thinking that this was going to be the new expansion. It was going to be something to do with a thing called the Dark Below. I wasn't sure I was actually kind of curious. I thought this might involve Queen Azshara and Zoth and the whole deep undersea environments where the old gods are, and I thought that would be pretty cool. So I ended up waiting. It turned out to be a hoax, or maybe just something completely unrelated we haven't heard about. I have no idea. There was no real closure. Blizzard never denied it, but we ended up getting another lead called Warlords of Draenor, and I didn't know when I heard this what to think. I'm like, oh, is it involving? Are we going back to other pieces of Draenor, or is this the Legion? Because we've been waiting for the Burning Legion to return in WoW for a long time now. It's overdue. So I saw that it was pretty much all but confirmed. People were talking about it, and then came the reveal at BlizzCon. And I must admit, while I first didn't know how to feel, I was really concerned about the whole time travel element, because if you're a fan of Warcraft mythology, you know just Blizzard can't do time travel quite right. They really can't. They do try, and sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't. I can think of a lot of other things that with time travel it gets confusing. The whole infinite dragonflight and all the plot holes, and it's kind of a mess for people like me who like to analyze Warcraft's mythology and story. It's a really big mess whenever they involve time travel. But I've heard Blizzard is basically playing it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to mess with things cards if you don't want it to, which I actually kind of like. That it's the past coming to us, not us going to the past, so we're not changing anything, and thank heavens for that. Because, time travel is messy, and as good as Blizzard is when it comes to telling, like, linear stories, whenever they need to be abstract and go into concepts like time travel, it becomes it's bad. So I saw, sorry, I saw the trailer. I thought it looked pretty cool, and I liked how they're trying to hammer in this idea that Draenor was very different from Outland. It wasn't this charred demonic world. It was a world with its own culture, its own history. We're not visiting Outland just in the past and everything feels like it's building up to Burning Crusade. They're trying to really send the idea that this is Draenor, its culture before its fall. I also like that it's showing the height of ogre civilization. Like, we've seen a lot of ogres, but they were all sort of lackeys and they weren't high society. Well, I mean, they're never high society, but they're always like shown to be the brute force behind much more intelligent races, and it'll be kind of cool to see what ogres were during their prime. So that's going to be exciting. Like, I like the setting, I honestly do. And in my opinion, some of the most beautiful stuff I've seen was Shadow Moon Valley, where the Alliance start and where the Draenei have most of their story, like their build-up. Where, like, you saw Shadow Moon Valley and Burning Crusade, and it was just this charred, demonic wasteland, and it was just such a hopeless land, and that was really cool. But it's cool seeing what it was like before. This place is beautiful. It's like freaking Avatar. You got all these translucent glowing trees, lots of color, blues, purples. That reminds me, I need to watch Avatar. I mean, that's a horribly written movie, but man, is it beautiful. Yeah, that's one of those movies that the story is good enough, but I really mainly watch it because it is just... Oh god, I'm getting off track. But, yeah. Shadow Moon Valley, all these zones look cool. I like how they're showing how it was different, and that's good. I don't want Burning Crusade, the prequel. Burning Crusade came and went. I looked at some of the new features, and one that really kind of bugged me, and this may not seem like a big idea, but for someone who likes to roll alts, Outland doesn't seem to be revamped. The 1 to 60, and they should have really taken this opportunity. But I guess that would be kind of... I don't know if that would be taxing on them, revamp Outland twice. But yeah, I was kind of hoping they'd do that. Hopefully when they introduce a new hero class like a Demon Hunter, where we start at level 55 similar to Death Knights, they revamp Outland then, because then we can have a cool new place to go through while we level. So yeah, I don't have much of a... but yeah, it looks pretty cool. The story about the whole Warlords of Draenor, about how Garrosh is pretty much working together, giving the old, kind of the biggest of the bads, well not all of them are bad, but of ancient Draenor, they're basically giving them weapons. This actually has a lot of potential. It's a scary idea to go back in time to tribals and let's say, here's a tank. That's just asking for trouble. Giving people who are completely like in a time void weapons of mass destruction. North Korea. But it's a scary thought. So I'm curious to see where they're going with this, because I actually have a lot of high hopes for this premise. So yeah. So that's setting aside. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, I like how you're going to be able to encounter a lot of the baddest of the bads in old Warcraft. Like we've heard of Gul'dan, we've heard of Ner'zhul, we've heard of Grom, we've heard of all these characters. Though Grom isn't necessarily bad, neither is Thrall's dad. What's his name? Duratan. None of those guys are necessarily, well, Ner'zhul and Gul'dan are obviously not very nice people, but it's kind of interesting, the idea of that we've heard about these characters, we've seen, they were in the really old Warcraft games, but we've never actually seen them in Warcraft. So it would be cool actually exploring these characters and how they tick, and it's sort of like a fan service for people like me who's like, you know, World of Warcraft's great, but there's a lot of Warcraft history that because it's dead and buried, we don't get to really understand or experience. That is one benefit of time travel. We do get to see a lot of stuff we normally couldn't see. And that's always a good thing for a universe that people fear that after so many expansions we've seen everything. Because we really haven't. There's a lot of potential out there. So yeah, it was. I was quite impressed. I like the new rating system, how they're integrating flex into a lot of things, which is good for me because I'm a casual raider, and I'll have more ambition to raid if the game actually gives more options, because they have plenty of options. There's no shortage. I might get back into the whole non-LFR rating. So bravo to that. There are new scenarios. I was hoping they would indulge more about how scenarios work and how they were improving them from Mists of Pandaria, because that's a big thing I feel they need to improve to make them something really worthwhile. So yeah, but yeah, the raids actually sound pretty cool. I like the instances. Highmaul sounds really cool. Like, what? Let me think. The last time we had an ogre-themed raid was I guess Gruul's Lair, but it was barely an ogre-themed raid. 2 bosses, and none of them were particularly amazing. Ooh, I actually like that cloak.
Not
sure if I'll transmog that.
For clemency, but I will listen.
And Blackrock Foundry. Foundry? Was it? Making fish? Foundry? But yeah, that sounds pretty cool. It doesn't interest me as much as the ogre raid, though, simply because ogres are something I like, and it's not seen enough. One of my biggest complaints, and this is my biggest issue with what I have seen from Warlords of Draenor, is it's more orcs. I'm a big Alliance fan, and I like the Horde and the Alliance equally. Don't get me wrong, I play both. Cataclysm made me play both, and heck, I wanted to play Horde because I just wanted to get that story because they were getting all the good stories. And I know Blizzard's pretty much said that the whole Emerald Dream thing is done in a novel, which still bothers me because we could get some good Night Elf lore. Like, let's think about it. How many orc-themed dungeons have there been compared to how many Night Elf? Like, let's think of the Night Elf expansions that have been released post-vanilla. Well of Eternity. Now we're done. Yeah, isn't that stupid? I'm sorry, Blizz. You need to give these alliance races more treatment, more things to make them interesting, because it really, really is not interesting what people are doing with them. I am looking forward to seeing how the alliance takes on these old Horde villains, and that does have good potential. And one thing that does get me freaking hyped for Warlords of Draenor Draenor. See, that's my mind speaking, not what I should be saying, is because of the Draenor. Warlords of Draenor is interesting to me because Draenor have something to do. We get to see what their lives are, their struggles, their issues with the orcs. That is exciting stuff because I really like the Draenor as a race. They're one of my favorites, if not my favorite in this game. I think they're really cool. So yeah, that gets me excited. Because that looks like it'll be the Alliance's sort of defining aspect of their story is working with the Draenor and all that. So yeah, I have that gets me pumped. But still, Malfurion, do something. You're an awesome character. You know, aren't you gonna do anything about the Horde and the whole burning down your forest and in Ashenvale and the whole? They've been like, Velen has a part, which is good. That's always good. But, come on, Blizzard. Show Alliance more love. Though I heard the Dark Iron Dwarves will have a part in this expansion, which is good. More dwarf lore is good because the dwarves are a major part of the Alliance. So yeah. That's just my concern. Like, think about it. Think about it. You have... Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say why I think this is. To a certain extent. Like, I still think some of this isn't excusable, especially when there are good Alliance characters like Malfurion. But there are a lot less, maybe I'm wrong about this, but there are a lot less iconic characters in the Alliance. Who am I kidding? No, they're not. Now that I really think about it, Blizzard doesn't really have any excuse. We've heard that Trillian Illyria was going to be in the next expansion. They're apparently not. They backpedaled on that. But, come on. Those are two Alliance big guys, and they're such cool... They have so much potential for stories, and... do something with them. I guess they're waiting for there to be demons, but... Take Alliance in exciting places, Blizzard. I'm really tired of this. We had, well, they had some good stuff in Wrath of the Lich King, but Cataclysm, a lot of Horde story and drama. Mist of Pandaria, the Horde got a lot of development, while the Alliance, they resisted to a certain extent, but most of the time it felt like they were just sitting there with their thumbs up their butts. Malfurion, you're not gonna join the fight? Varian, you're gonna wait until, well, I guess the idea is that Alliance are playing it smart and waiting for the Horde to destroy themselves rather than looking for actual conflict with them. They're, you know, they see there's turmoil and they're just waiting for the Horde to inevitably collapse. Oh, and I gotta admit, that's a smart tactic. Just let your enemies destroy themselves and just, well, if you were to directly confront them, things would get even worse for you. But at the same time, I just wish they were a bit more of a vital component to the war. So yeah, a bit disappointed there, but... It actually just makes sense from a tactical standpoint that the Alliance would do nothing. So yeah. Okay, so besides that whole little rant, that whole little spiel, I am looking forward to this expansion. It won't be out, I think, for a while. I do think we're going to have a bit more of Mist of Pandaria. Similar to Cataclysm, there's going to be quite a wait. But you know what? There's new consoles coming out, which is exciting. I'm getting a lot of time out of my 3DS. It's a great system. So even with this void, I'm not going to have any shortage of entertainment. So I think... Oh, wow, I had never got that achievement before. Pretty sweet. But, so even with this, I think what's going to happen is... a lot of people are going to... who might quit playing WoW for the new systems are going to have a blast. Once the honeymoon period's over and they're comfortable with their new systems, I think WoW's next expansion coming out. Like, I don't think they're in too big of competition because they're very different types of games. There's a lot of people who just relax and play WoW and share like their times with their friends, like it's their game. They don't really play much else. So yeah, I actually think it's smart not to just pump out the next expansion and say, oh, it's going to be ready next month. As exciting as that would be, I think that would hurt the game. And yeah, no, I really don't think WoW is dying. It's just, how should I put this? Not as mainstream and just everyone going nuts for it like they used to. It's still a great game. if I were to be perfectly honest with myself and describe a lot of the directions Blizzard went, some of them weren't very good, but in many ways, if I were to say WoW as a game in terms of the, combat fluidity and just a lot of the ways it feels more like a game now, like there's none of that whacking away at an enemy on the field for who knows how long just to get their health down. You know what I mean? Back in the early days where you would wipe in the 1 to 5, not wipe, you just die in the 1 to 5 areas. That you don't do that anymore. It's a different time. It's much more casual, and honestly, as someone who plays mainly for the universe and the story, that's more my type of game. So yeah, no complaints there. So I'm going to keep playing this game until I feel that Blizzard has nothing left to offer me. But as a fan of the lore, I am going to play that next expansion. Heck, I'm going to play the heck out of it. It looks cool. So I probably have one more part of this spiel on this channel. And my last part's going to be devoted to talking about the other things of BlizzCon besides World of Warcraft. Mainly, sorry, I'm starting to get a bit of the sniffles. Gee, people are getting sick this time of year? Wow.
We must keep moving.
Got a bit of congestion and the nose nuggets. They're always fun.
I'm trying to think here.
Oh yeah, I forgot. The new models. I forgot to mention those. Great. Just great. I like how they took their time and made them really good. The gnome female, so cute, all the facial emotions, and made this... Oh, sorry, my face is kind of burning. Need a drink. You know that feeling you get when you have sinus problems or allergies and just... You don't know why, but your face starts burning. Ugh. And your throat starts burning too. If anyone has sinus problems, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Of course, me talking a lot probably doesn't help much. But yeah, the models are great. I could talk about them next part, but I want to get as much as I can out of the next final dungeon, and and if I have any time left over, I'll cover anything in WoW I might have missed. Alright, see you next part.